Utah? Why would anyone want to move here? Yes, Utah used to be a flyover state, but now it is one of the #1 destinations for people who are looking to move to another state for whatever reason. So let's talk about the reasons why Utah has become such a popular place to live. And because we have such a spectacular backdrop right here, let's just talk about the open space and the land and the public land that is available in Utah. It is one of the most spectacular states in the country for outdoor beauty, and you can partake in it because a lot of the land, whether you're here in southern Utah where we are or northern Utah up in Salt Lake City, fantastic outdoor opportunities.
So yeah, so we're talking about the scenic. So there's like so many aspects, right? So obviously we could talk about the scenic. So right here in front of Snow Canyon State Park, I mean, it speaks for itself. It's just absolutely beautiful. And again, this is indicative of the entire state. I mean, where, talking about Zion, you're talking about Bryce Canyon, you're talking about the beautiful mountains near Salt Lake City. Like there's just so much out here as far as breathtaking scenery. And I don't take that lightly because you just don't get, it's very few areas that you have it's just eye candy.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say, so we're next to Snow Canyon State Park. So if you don't know where we are, we're in southern Utah. We're about an hour and 45 minutes away from Las Vegas. So the climate here is much more similar to Vegas than to the mountain region of Salt Lake City. But I would say Snow Canyon it could potentially be the most underrated state park in the entire state of Utah. I mean, I feel like nobody really talks about it because, we're about an hour from Zion, which obviously is world famous. Everyone goes to Zion, nobody comes here, and it's just spectacular here. But this, like Sean would say, it's just indicative of the outdoor beauty. And I will say that, some states, there might be a lot of land, but a lot of it is private owned, so you can't really use it. You can use the outdoors here. I think that's one thing that makes Utah different from other places.
Yeah, this is controlled by the Bureau of Land Management, so it's not a private entity. So people, again, if you love side-by-sides, you love off-roading and all that stuff, you have a lot of opportunities here as opposed to, like you said, like in other states, it's all, fenced off. I mean, it's all for private use.
Yeah, for sure.
So before we continue, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sean Dazad.
And I'm Courtney Dazad.
And I'm a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Utah. And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love St. George. I love the blue skies. I love the outdoor activities. I love the red rocks. I can't wait to move in here. Now, the problem is I'm not local, and maybe I'm a state, maybe out of the country, so I don't know what to do. I totally get that. That's when you reach out to us so we can have that conversation, find out specifically what you're looking for, and we give you your boots on the ground. We work with a team that has over 40 years of experience selling real estate here in the St. George region itself. So what you want to do is when you give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country. Now, another reason Utah is a great place to live, and this is something I was actually talking to somebody, we were out at the farmer's market the other day, and it was just somebody that we were talking to, and he was saying that he grew up in Utah and he loves Utah. He's been to a lot of different places, but what he loves most about it is that Utah is chill, and I would actually say that that's a really good way to just describe kind of the culture here. It's like people, it's just a live and let live culture. People, they really just don't care. They're like, you do you.
Yeah.
As long as you're not impinging on my rights, I do not care. That's really just how it is here.
Yeah, actually I do, and I really do appreciate that because obviously, given the climate of how things are, it's like people are like on one side or the other. It's like, you know what? Here it feels like whatever you want to do, again, as long as you're not affecting someone else, they're like,
you do you.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it, man.
Now, the next reason, this, kind of goes to what we were talking about before with the great outdoors, but Utah is actually a quite healthy state. I mean, the average lifespan here is one of the longest in the United States, and part of it, obviously, is the great outdoors, right? Like, if you're outside and moving, which is what the human body is supposed to do, you tend to live longer, so.
Yeah, and you're happier, right? Because we get all this vitamin D, we get all this sun, right? So it is kind of amazing where the scenery is not just for eye candy, it is something to be actually experiencing, where whether you're hiking, cycling, skiing, like snowboarding, running. There's just so many opportunities here just to have really experience nature and really take it all in. I mean, obviously, besides, we have tons of golf courses all throughout. And, again, there's a lot of other activities as well. But that's the general theme, is that people are doing stuff outdoors.
Yeah, and I'd say it's also a good way to meet people in Utah too. Sean's best friend, when he first moved out here, which was, like 25 years ago, whatever, he didn't know anybody, but he's like, well, I love to mountain bike, so let me just find a mountain biking group. And then that's how he met a lot of his friends that he still has to this day. So there's just like a lot to do. So it's easier to meet people, I'd say, that way.
So what you're saying is that when you have common hobbies, you might have other common interests.
Yeah.
Amazing.
amazing. Now, going beyond, your hobbies and stuff like that, obviously, how are you going to pay for these hobbies if
takes moolah.
It takes money, right? So Utah has a very good economy, one of the best in the state. It's known as a very business-friendly state. I would say that here in southern Utah, though, obviously, because we're a much smaller population, we have about 200,000 metro population compared to about 3 million in Salt Lake City. Obviously, we don't have the diverse economy that Salt Lake City has, but it is getting, every year I feel like there's more and more opportunities for higher paying jobs here, but it's still limited, right?
Yeah, and also, obviously with the advent of remote working, which is still very much a thing, that is expanding more possibilities than just beyond what's brick and mortar, located within the geographic area of where you would be living. There's just so many more opportunities. So people are finding that they can enjoy the outdoors, enjoy where they want to live, but still be able to obviously work in whatever profession they want to.
Yeah, and if you're an entrepreneur, Utah is very business friendly as well. So there's a decent amount of people that move out here and then they decide they want to have their own business, and then they find that it's a much better business climate than maybe where they were from.
For sure. And also, we're not just saying, it does well for the economy just to say it, right? It's actually backed up by lots of publications that have done rankings for states. And so whether that's U.S. News and World Report or CNBC, these kind of metrics.
Wallet Hub.
Wallet Hub, yeah. So Utah is perennially top 5 and many times number 1 actually in the entire country as far as business-friendly states.
Yeah. So in terms of rankings, another high ranking that Utah tends to get, whatever list you're looking at, Wallet Hub, U.S. News Report, all sorts of different lists, Utah tends to rank very highly for its healthcare wherever you are in the state of Utah, unless you're in some tiny town with 100 people, whatever, right? But if you're in the 2 population centers, which is here, southern Utah, or in northern Utah, very highly ranked healthcare.
Yeah, exactly. You're not missing, even in this area, right? So we have Intermountain State Health Regional Center in St. George itself, where you actually have a hospital that's ranked, depending on the year, number 2 or number 3 in the entire state. And Utah itself ranks really well as far as hospitals. So even if you're in a smaller population center like the St. George region, you're still actually having great access to healthcare. And part of the reason is that, one, we have fantastic facilities, but second, you need the talent, right? And fortunately, it's not that hard to attract really good talent, despite the smaller population size, because they just want to live here.
Yeah, it's easy to recruit people here. It's, they come and visit and they're like,
Oh, so you're going to pay me to live here?
Yeah,
all right, let's do this.
This is a nice place to live. I'll take the job. And then since we're talking about rankings, let's talk about school systems. So schools, education in Utah from pre-K all the way up onto university. That's another one that it tends to rank very high in whatever list you're on. I think U.S. News and World Report, ranked education number 2 in the country, Utah. But whatever list you're in, it tends to be top 20, top 10, whatever list you're looking at. So that's another big pro of Utah. Yeah,
and surprisingly, again, depending on where you are, there are a lot of educational opportunities. So it's not just, you have to go to where your own, let's say, elementary school is zone 4, and they have just the standard way of, the core curriculum kind of type stuff. There's obviously lots of different avenues depending on how you want your pupil to partake in their educational experience.
Yeah, there's a lot of choice here. That's one thing that people really appreciate, is that you can choose from a number of different types of education philosophies, language immersion, arts, science, technology, even here in this, smaller region. So that's probably another reason why it ranks so high.
Yeah.
Now, another reason Utah is a desirable place to live, and this is going to sound weird because housing here obviously tends to be about 25% more than the...
About 15. That's true, actually, the statewide.
State itself, 25% more than median
of the United States.
Of the United States. But when you're actually looking at just straight value, it's a desirable place to live, which tends to mean there's going to be a premium. So the fact that it's only a 25% premium, there's places in the United States where people want to live, and it's like double, triple, quadruple, tenfold the national average. So that the fact that it's only 25% is for us, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, because when you think about like those beachfront properties, right? Again, it's hard to really encapsulate. I'm not sure how well it's coming on across the screen.
Some B-roll.
But yeah, it's just absolutely stunning. Like a lot of people would take this over like being at the beach, and beaches are incredibly expensive. Whether you're talking about Hawaii, California, like Florida, there's just a lot more expensive areas, way more expensive than here.
Yeah.
But this is every bit as desirable as far as a desirability location standpoint.
And then while housing cost tends to be a little higher, I would say the rest in terms of cost of living is either average or lower. Our energy costs here are, at least here in St. George, are extremely low. So, you know, I would say cost of living tends to be pretty low here.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's talk about weather. You know, depending on where you're from, the weather in southern Utah here, I'd say 9 months out of the year is extremely good. It's very good. So for a lot of people, I'd say the weather is better here than where they're from. For example, if you're from Texas or Florida, I would live here any day over those states. My sister lives in Texas. The weather is way hotter, way worse there.
Spoiler, she wants to move out here.
I have lived in Florida before. I'll take southern Utah any day over Florida. So, you know, depending on where you're from, the weather here is quite nice. But of course, obviously, northern Utah, you do get the extreme winters, which we don't get here. We're very similar to Las Vegas in our winters. Obviously, it's a little colder, right? But you make it as like a dusting of snow. But, you know, some people, they appreciate the winters in northern Utah. You got the Champagne snow. You've got arguably the best skiing in the entire world. People will put Utah up with anybody in the world. So, you know, you've got that as well.
Exactly.
And now this one, obviously, this is depending on, you know, everyone's different in terms of what they believe. But if you are someone who believes strongly in gun rights,
Your
obviously,
Second Amendment rights.
Second Amendment rights, obviously Utah, very strong for the Second Amendment state. So
there's that. And remember, I am a licensed realtor here in the state of Utah. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.